Hey guys, and welcome back to Man Talks Abuse. I ask you to subscribe, to share, to like, yeah, all of that. Let's talk about a family affair. A family affair. I reflect back on this because when I first got involved willingly with this particular person, I went in thinking that we were on the same page. And apparently we weren't, and we never was. But what I want to say about a family affair, in retrospect, I see weird things that were going on in front of my face, behind my face, in front of my back, behind my back, that I see where I was being set up, I do believe now. I reflect back on one of the things that when I first started, decided to have a duo. Keep in mind, for many years, I was a solo performer. And I trust people. I think most people trust people. And as time went on, I remember sitting and with this particular person, his mother said, "Why don't you let him handle the finances?" Now, in retrospect, my heart did sink. And I knew I was onto something, but it wasn't quite clear yet. So what I did, that bothered me so bad within my soul, my mind, my spirit, my intuition, that I went to ask a mentor, a trusted friend, and I told him about the conversation. And I said, I do believe that I'm being set up for his mother to ruin my business finances. However, I did give in, I did relent, because again, I trust people. I think most people trust people. And you want to see the best in people. So, again, unbeknownst to me, I handed all the responsibilities of my business finances over to this person. One of the things that happened is that I owed someone $4,000 for a solo website separate from the duo that we were doing. And he asked to put my solo project money in with the duo business money. He said I would get it back. I did. And I never got it back. I think you guys guessed that already. When I asked him about it, because he was handling all the finances at this point, he said, well, I needed to put that money someplace else. Now, so I'm still to this day, 20 plus years later, still owing this particular person for a website $4,000. And I mention that is because over the years, I see where there was an intentional uh, intent to completely ruin anything I tried to do solo, separate from him, but also eventually just ruin everything that we were doing together. Uh, my business bought two brand new Suburbans over the course of the years. They both were in his name. And again, guys, you have to understand that a normal person does not seek out to ruin people. A healthy person, I guess I should say, does not seek out to ruin people. And this family affair, I was so entwined with this family affair that every time I was around them collectively, there was some kind of tightness, weirdness that went on in the family dynamic that simply made me feel like nothing. One of the things that his parents used to love to do is call me the N word or call African Americans N word or jigaboo. I pause there because I am ashamed to say that I put up with it, but I did. And even though I would ask them, particularly his mother, not to say that word or those words, again, she was hell bent on continuing using those words. It's a family affair. And I would tell a few people, and they would say, listen, if that happened to me, I would be out of there in a heartbeat. I didn't have the strength to leave. My work, what I loved to do, was tied, by this time, all tied together like a twisted knot. And when I would ask him, why wouldn't he speak up when his mother would use the N word or jigaboo or something derogatory? He had nothing to say. Nothing to say whatsoever. Closed lips, stone cold eyes. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. The reason I know this now is because in her latter days, before she passed away, she began to tell me things about his father and how his father was and how she sees that she made a huge mistake in raising her son the way she did. You see, it backfired on her. In the end, he really began to turn on her because she made him a narcissist. He was given everything he wanted. He was never told no. His butt was never beaten. And I used to tell him this, so this is nothing that I'm just coming up with over the years. You see, we were together for 20-something years. And I used to tell him, I said, one of the things that's wrong with you is that you have never been told no. And when someone tells you no, you freak out, you go crazy. You would never have your butt beaten or spanked. Sorry, I don't mean beaten, but spanked. Or, well, let's say this. You've never been disciplined by any authority whatsoever. He was really a spoiled brat. His mother bragged about doing his homework. He was in his late 30s and 40s. His mom was still cutting his bread at restaurants and putting butter on it like a child. It's a family affair. she would boast about that she was glad that she raised him the way she did. One searing thing, she said that um, she told me that she could touch him and that he was basically easy access for her to touch. Uh, that was weird, but you have to understand, guys, again, when you're in something like this and you just don't know. But I know now it was a family affair. His mother was everything to him, to his default. And I have to say again, it's a family affair. I was isolated and I gave all that I had to give within that family unit. And I now see that it was a setup. It was a setup to take me down. And the reason I say that so strongly and confidently, because anytime I was around them, they said anything they wanted to say to me. No one stood up and said, "What in the world are you doing? Stop it." I used to tell him, I said, you know what? If my parents talk to you the way your parents talk to me, I would stand up and I would say, no, you cannot do this. But this never happened. And now I see it was a family affair to completely destroy me, to completely wipe me out, simply because of jealousy, envy, and hatred. Remember, these narcissists, they just don't happen. They are born into a family of narcissists. And if they are not checked, they end up being narcissists themselves. And they end up being very, very, very dangerous emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually, and financially. It's a family affair.